I would argue that when you're solving a problem that your competition hasn't yet even identified, you're that much farther ahead.
Yeah.
And, the pilots we've done have proven that out.
Hey, Jason Rice here. Again, we're doing another version of bringing back the Up Bus, but it really called the View from the Top. Our weekly newsletter, we include an article, and we thought it'd be good to throw videos with this on a view of the top from our team members who actually are in the trenches with our dealers and shaking hands, kissing babies, all that good stuff with our clients and our performance analysts, engineers to really see what's going on in the market. So I am going to be bringing on Tom Murphy. Now, he's somewhat new to the company, but not new to me yet. We go back 2008. We, worked together at the Auto for 5+ years, and we stayed in touch after all these years. And he's bringing in the View of the Top because he joined our team. And again, that president, chief strategy officer, as bringing in partnerships with great products that are out there. And his happens to be Pivot. And we'll go over a little bit of what that is and why these two products, the Lot Walk and Pivot, are perfect partnerships, first run, and how this is going to work out. But his topic, and I'm going to read it, says, "There are no problems, only opportunities." Is that true? And out of that article, that was the title of the article, but one snippet I took out of it, and this one I'm going to roll it over to Tom, is equating problems with opportunities is a mistake. So again, you get a better definition of it, but a lot of people see, hey, I got a problem. This gives me an opportunity for improvement. But kind of dig into that a little bit, Tom. What do you mean by that?
Sure. Well, I know it wasn't the simplest subject to bring up because we're talking about something that nobody's thinking about. But, looking for problems and solving those problems are what every vendor, every partner is out there trying to do. And dealers find advantage in solving problems, right? And that's what we're here to do is help them uncover and exploit improvement opportunities, otherwise known as problems. So, a few years ago, I started hearing, well, there are no problems, there are only opportunities, or people would correct me when I use the term problem. No, it's an opportunity. I agree with that. I don't disagree, but to equate the two, I think you run the risk of overlooking opportunities where solutions, you're not looking for a solution. So for instance, if I've got a problem, I find a solution, that's an opportunity. Whereas if I'm not looking for the solution, does that mean that that opportunity doesn't exist? Or is it simply that I'm not aware of the problem? I hadn't thought of it yet, right? So that's really what the article was about. It was about not just looking for the obvious, but looking for the things that nobody else has really thought about yet and finding a solution for that. And that's where real competitive advantage comes from. That's what we want to bring to our dealers.
All right. And that kind of reminds me, I talk to dealers about inventory management and how to keep their inventory clean and make it profitable, do both in gross and volume. And I'll ask in our class, what's the difference between simple and easy, right? They seem like the same concept. And I'll ask them, explain the best way simplest way to lose weight, exercise more and eat less, right? It's pretty simple. Mm-hmm. But is it easy? And that's a big difference. And so I see kind of what you're talking about with the opportunities and problems and how they equate it. But if you're not trying to lose weight, it's not so. But let's dig into Pivot, a little bit of why we did this partnership. We're driving opportunities and decisions on inventory management, driving opportunities and decision on lead management. Now we're engaged with the customer, we're working deals, but ultimately we could be losing deals that we're not aware of. And you said there's a big difference in the article between the two decision makers on a deal. The person running the desk saying yes or no to the deal that the customer, because ultimately, and I'm quoting you, is the only reason why you miss a deal is it's a dollar amount, right?
That's right.
Be a payment, but payment works into $1,000 away, right? But that person, the two people, the person at the desk made a decision to do the $1,000 or not versus the person like the dealer or the CFO or, the general manager that actually does the financial decisions might have said, no, do the grant. And so these two people really don't, it's kind of us with the inventory management and lead management. CRMs don't talk cars and inventory tools don't talk customers. Well, the desk manager is not communicating, or that person, that GM dealer is not at the desk. And so again, I'll let you elaborate more. But
well, it's one of these. The reason Pivot exists is to solve a problem that dealers don't know exists or they don't recognize it. And I think it's just like vAuto back in the day when you and I were working together. We were bringing a new message to dealers, and it made a huge difference, particularly for the early adopters, right, and the true believers. I mean, they did fabulously well. 2008, 9, 10, when others were suffering. They were doing great. Better than
recession. To remind people, those years, 8, 9, 10 was the recession years.
Yeah, I've said many times that back then you watched dealers fall into one of two buckets: those that were prepared to adjust and adapt, and those who weren't. And the guys that were prepared to adjust and adapt ended up buying the stores from the guys who weren't.
And it wasn't even a financial preparement, right? Oh, I got this nest egg sitting to the side. It's understanding the opportunities they had, using the market data and everything that was new, right? I mean, yeah, having a nest egg was great, but some of those dealers didn't. I know that, I was with them. They didn't, but they had to figure out a new way to do business. To stay afloat.
Yep. And it turned out not only to be a way to stay in business, but a way to change their business for the better, right? Yeah. So this is kind of the same thing. I mean, I was talking to a prominent guy, one we all know well, who once told me, as it relates to Pivot, he asked the question, actually, hey, what problem are you solving? And my answer to him was, well, it's not really a problem that anybody recognizes, but it's an opportunity for everybody to improve. And he said, well, it's no good. You're never going to get a market. You're never going to get a customer base if you're not solving a problem that they're identifying with. And I would argue that when you're solving a problem that your competition hasn't yet even identified, you're that much farther ahead. Yeah. And, the pilots we've done have proven that out.
Yeah, and that goes back to kind of what we're doing with lead management stuff. Again, I started managing leads in 98, and we've done it the same way every time. And I'm like, holy crap, we're doing it wrong. But to expose them to that and trying to get them to understand it, make a decision, it's like, that's the tough part. So, again, just kind of get a concept, a little bit of what Pivot's allowing a dealer to do. And, to give it, in my eyes, layman's term is, you don't have to be desking a deal. You can be working a deal, remotely or digitally or whatever. And I know we'll talk about AI and the part of this tool that's actually going to be helping with these decisions too. But basically, if you end up being $1,000 apart on a deal at the desk and they're about ready to walk it, plug that deal into the tool. Again, preset information, AI mixtures. It's going to say, hey, you know what? Go ahead and pull the trigger on that deal. I'm fine with it. And that's like that'd be like the GM standing over your shoulder, the dealer going, hey, I'll take that deal. Go ahead and do it. Right. And that's a layman's term, but you explain a little better.
Yeah, it's better than that, right? Because long ago, we realized that the guys with true P&L responsibility, the guys who had a perspective that was very different than the perspective at the desk, well, they have the least access to customers, right? They've grown beyond that. They're hiring other people to stand in on their behalf. And those people, whether by design or just a lack of communication, they don't have all the same information. They don't have the same perspective. They won't make the same decisions. And so we went to solve for that problem, assuming that there was a, $700 or $800 delta between the desk and the dealer in terms of, what does this deal really amount to? And what we discovered was far, far many times more than that in some cases, and never less than twice that. So what that meant was, as you said a minute ago, every time you desk a deal, you come to a decision. And that decision is binary. Either you make the deal or you miss the deal. And so every time you make that decision, there's a number driving that decision. If I made the deal, I'm going to log it and record a certain amount of income. If I miss the deal, I can tell you by how many dollars, right? Because that's what I was chasing. And that was my, my bailout point. I said, you know what? I can't go any further. I can't bump the trade. I can't do this, can't do that, right? So all we asked the dealer to do is when the desk comes to that decision that they would walk a customer, all they have to do is turn to our platform. Don't convey that yet. Take 15 seconds, give Pivot 5 pieces of information, and the system has proven capable of delivering 50.3% of those opportunities that the desk would have otherwise walked. So that it's a huge difference in terms of the deals that the dealer would take and the deal that the desk is willing to take. And it's just a lack of insight.
So again, this is my mind, and this is I'm going to break it down. So let's just say you missed 50 deals for the month. You're saying 25 deals could have been done, and here's where I want dealers to understand this. Think about the save a deal, right? Why do we do a save a deal? Well, it's okay. Now I got the decision maker and the other managers together. Here's this deal. Well, what happened with that? Well, we're 1,500 apart. And the guy goes, go ahead and call him back. Let's see if we can make that deal. And now we're chasing the customer back a day or two later as we did our save a deal. Right. This is essentially, and if you actually did think about sitting through save a deals and let's say you've gone through 15 and 5 of them, you said, yeah, let's pull the trigger, call the customer back. How many do you actually get back? Maybe 1 or 2 of those 5. But if you had pivot at that point in time, while the customer was there doing the deal, you would have got all 5 instead of just the 2, right? That's right. To me, that's from understanding the concept and what we are able to do here. Because again, as we're driving inventory, we're driving leads. Now we got a decision, and I even mentioned it earlier. You don't have to be sitting at your dealership. It could be, hey, this guy won't come in unless we can do 20 grand difference, right? Well, I'm 2 grand apart. We'll plug it in and see if you can do it or not.
Yeah, it's better than that. It's better than you sitting at the desk because it gives the decision maker what we refer to as the operator, the guy who, has true P&L visibility. It's giving them omnipresence at the desk. It ensures that every decision that is made as it relates to a deal is made from their perspective, as though they were sitting there. But they don't have to be. That's why I say it's better. Because they're not going to, right? If they were going to, they would be, right? And the disparity between their perspective and really good dealers will tell you, oh no, I got great guys. Oh no. They have all the information. We don't hold anything back. There's
not let a customer walk over $500.
Right. It never happens. And you know what? They believe that to be true because they have to believe that to be true. They have to, right? Everybody involved wants to believe that that's true. But if you're brave and bold enough to try testing that theory, you find out real quick that there's a disparity, and there's got to be. When you think about how many variables there are in a car deal, right? And every one of those variables is being defined subjectively, right? And you've got, if I could get a single person, right, to see every deal, if I could get a single person to see one deal exactly the same way and make exactly the same decision, that would be impressive. Try to get multiple people to all make the same decision. Try to get all those people to make the same decision as our business circumstances changing, right? It's truly impossible when you stop and think about the variability at the desk, and it's frightening, and it will keep you up at nights.
So that goes back to your point. They don't know they have a problem because they have to believe that they're not missing deals by $500 because if not, they openly admit they're a bad operator or we got bad team or something, right? And so it essentially, that's why you're saying you're not solving a problem because they don't know they have a problem. We're looking at how are the opportunities. And so with this kind of, and my other thought was when I mentioned save it deals, this kind of eliminates that, right? Going back and if you're putting in every deal you're not closing, saying, hey, okay, it's done, going to an F&I, done. Well, shit, some of those go to an F&I and we need another $500 for the bank or whatever. And you try to get out of the customer, you can't either let it walk or not. But basically putting every deal into the tool, there's really no opportunity for a save the deal because you maximize every opportunity on every deal. Yeah, okay, there are decision makers willing to what extent the decision makers are really make the deal.
Right. So there's no more work to be done, right? To use our platform, to use the Pivot platform, all we tell the dealer is, look, change nothing about the way you do business. Change nothing about the way you advertise, the way you take ups, the way you test drive. Change none of that. It's do everything you would normally do. But when you get to that decision point as to whether or not to take the deal, well, the deals you take, they're made deals. We have nothing to do with those. It's the deals that you, by definition, were ready to walk. Tell us how much you need. So turn to our platform at the desk, say, I need $1,200 or whatever the number happens to be. Give us 5 pieces of information of which that's one, right? Customer information, contact information, right? Stuff you already have.
The vehicle and how far apart. Because that, going back to AI talk, the vehicle can have some weight into that deal, right?
A lot. Yeah, a lot. So the beauty of AI, and you hear it brought up with every technology now, and I'm going to confess that my knowledge of AI is limited to machine learning. That's only one type of AI, but I have a pretty good understanding of machine learning, and data is key with machine learning, right? You have to have training data. And the more training data you have, the better decisions can be made and the better opportunities can be exploited. So day one with Pivot, all we're doing is trying to bring the decisions that the operator would make to bear at the time the deal is being negotiated so that it's not lost in the first place. What AI will do as we accumulate that data, it'll start making recommendations as to what you should do. So you go from what deals can you do to what deals should you do.
Yeah. Well, not only that, I think about it, especially now with new car deals. I mean, sometimes the OEM comes with some, funny money, the back end money to say, hey, you sell this many trucks, we'll give you another $100,000 on top of it. So you can start dividing that money up. So you might be willing to take, or 50 grand, whatever the number, you'll be willing to take, $2,000 differences on trucks, but 500 or 1,000 on the hot mover or something like that. I mean, there's this, so you're going to have, because how many times we've had that, hey guys, we got to get these trucks going. They're giving us a big incentive. We got to push this many out. And you hope your team is making those decisions, right? Making every deal they can, but you never know, right?
Yeah. What the platform does, in comparison to what you just said, it takes the hey guys out of the equation. There's no need to communicate anything, right? Because everything is resident in the platform. And there's no hope involved because you've decided in advance what deals you will and won't take and under what circumstances. Is it a conquest customer? What's the age of the vehicle, right? There's so many factors that go into it, which is why we had save a deal meetings, because it's so subjective and there's so many variables, right? We bring other people into the conversation and say, hey man, do you see something here that I missed? So save a deal meetings were great in theory, but they're horrible in practice. Right. It's why everybody knows we should do them, but nobody does them anymore. And you can't blame them because the return on investment to get that customer back in, it's not there. Right. It just doesn't happen anymore. And as you said, if you do get them back in, they're just going to extract more pain and suffering from you. Right. They're not going to say, oh, great. They're going to say, nah. And that's the ones you get back in, which is very few.
And so, again, I won't dig out of the weeds, but a little bit of the number concept, just so everybody understands it, and we'll kind of wrap it up, is let's just say you're a manager, you're a dealer, and you'd say, man, team, I'll do two. This is right now before pivot. I'll do $2,000 back an invoice on any F-150. We need them gone, right? Well, if one deal only needs 500, now there's 1,500 left over. So this other deal that needs $3,000, you could essentially pull the trigger because you still had 1,500 left on the other deal. But most managers won't do that because he's only $2,000 in your invoice.
Right.
As you had a pot, if you go, hey, I need 20 cars gone at $2,000 below invoice, I'm fine. But we won't pull the trigger because this one needs $3,000 under invoice. Well, you forgot you only did 500 on this one. There's 1,500 left. But that concept's not there. But that's what Pivot does, right?
It does that. Yeah. The beauty of the platform, and again, we're solving a problem that most people don't recognize, right? Yeah. But they will now. You start paying attention to how many variables there are, how subjective those variables are, and then add into the equation how many people you have making those decisions. Now add in the equation your changing business circumstance, which is what inventory you have, what inventory is in transit, what type of leads you've had, right? How much traffic you've had. What's the average shortfall on a deal? All of that data is being captured every time you're on the precipice of missing a deal, right? And the platform is there to say, and it's really just the dealer or the operator, as we refer to them, standing in the background with Omnipresence saying, do the deal. No explanation required. That's the beauty of it, right? So you don't have to explain because it's a single person.
Yeah, they don't know you're doing $2,000 back invoice.
You never even communicate that. It's not necessary.
So here's the thing, guys. And again, we wrap it up here. I think LotWalk will expose every issue you have and missed opportunities in your inventory, down to if it's trades or purchases or certified, or is it your 2022s, or is your intermediate cars? Is it your 15 to 30 day bucket? We're going to be able to find exactly what's slowing your inventory sale rate down to help you make better decisions to fix it. Lead management. We don't need to weed through 800 leads. Let's just call and email the 150 with the car still in stock. You haven't called in 2 or 3 days, right? Let's expose our follow-up issues, and we're able to expose those opportunities to drive more business there. And then you get these people in the door, and we're missing tons of opportunities again due to what Pivot's got to be able to answer for you. So to me, we got all three bases covered here to help you guys find the holes, make better decisions on those, and again, Pivot's there to be able to kind of make those decisions for you without needing to go check with anybody what you need to make, what you need to do. So Tom, I want to thank you for your time. Is there anything else you wanted to add to this before we wrap it up?
I think of it this way. Lot Walk and all that we do presently drives traffic and activity that you otherwise wouldn't have recognized or would have missed, right? It's filling the top of the sales funnel. The reason it's such a great partnership between the products and the way that they operate is Pivot is at the bottom of the sales funnel at the time of sale, making sure you exploit those opportunities to their fullest. And the way to do that is to make sure that it's the guy with all the perspective rendering that decision. That's what Pivot does.
And I think another great part of this partnership is just not another vendor we're trying to work with. Tom's part of our team. Okay. He's helping organize, doing these other things. So the communication and the network that we're able to put together with this is just even going to be stronger for our dealers that want to try this out and utilize this tool. So get a hold of us. Let's schedule a time for our team and anybody on us to be able to show how this tool works. If you're a non-client, you're coming across this, hey, talk to Tom and we can get you lined up with that and test out that product, even if you're not with LotHub. But of course, our current customers, man, this is a great opportunity to make sure as this market slows down to not miss any opportunities at all. Tom, thank you for your time.
No,
this was a great view from the top.
Thanks again.